Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Data Insights Podcast. Here, Ganesh, co founder and CEO of Conversite. Thank you all for coming back and listening to this podcast. Today, I have another great industry leader, Kyle Jacobson from Fishbowl Inventory. As name says, they do a lot of inventory management. So we are all in this, supply chain disruption. You call it global trade, tariff, lot of things happening around and inventory management. Every supply chain leader I connect with, they are worried about their cash flow, their margin impact it's going to create because of the supply disruption. And I am equally excited to learn what's going to happen and how this analytics and AI and this digital, all these different initiatives can help. So Kyle, welcome to the show, and maybe we'll just get started with a quick intro from you about you, your company. What do you do, high level?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, Ganesh. I'm Kyle Jacobson. I'm a senior product manager here at Fishbowl Inventory. I manage all of our cloud products, and we focus in the WMS space and are very active in the AI portion of things as well. So, like you said, a lot of customers are worried about their margins. They're worried about the tariffs and how they can manage and how they can compete in such an ever-changing world right now.
Absolutely. Kyle, you mentioned about WMS, the warehouse management system. And, when the supply chain leaders, obviously they want to really worry about the warehouse management and how the inventory is stored, whatever. But are you kind of from Fishbowl or in general, are you seeing increased interest to look at the demand, supply and inventory, the balancing? Is that something what you are all focused on?
Exactly. I was recently at a conference, the Walmart Grow conference, and the number one conversation that I was having was around demand planning and forecasting. You
Okay.
could tell it was on everybody's minds. And I noticed that with customers I talked to in the industry, different companies, demand planning and forecasting is such a pivotal place where it can make or break your business, especially with the reduction in margins and the need for competitive pricing out there. It becomes table stakes for you to have demand planning and forecasting.
Yeah. So, see, inventory management is it's not new. It's always there. Even before you started, your role and we started Conversite. I think people are doing this inventory management, and they've been doing it in different ways. So, what is excites you, like you as an individual and as a product owner in inventory side? What excites you? Like, is it something new, brand new is happening? What's new, or why we are all talking more about inventory management?
Yeah, I think it's a few different things. I think one is the amount of information that's out there and accessible to everyone at any given time
Hmm.
makes the landscape super competitive. And then you're also seeing these, different companies jumping out of nowhere. These small independent retailers are trying to compete against these large global brands. And so one way that they can compete is by having their own warehousing. They can save on fees, they can save on the distribution, they have more control over their inventory and more insights into what they're selling and how they're selling it. So I think the pivot is from giving all of your inventory and items over to Amazon and letting them deal with it to more cost focused retailers that are bringing their products into their own warehouse so that they can save dollars here and there. They can be more profitable, and those profit dollars can then be put back into the business and be more competitive. So I think it's more a matter of the industry evolving and people getting more insight and having more access to these things. The ability to start your own website or to start your own warehouse is becoming more and more accessible to people.
See, that's one thing interesting, right? Like when I, you know, and I've been in this space, inventory with manufacturing companies for over 20 years. And when we typically worry about it, do I have multiple warehouse? Do I have one warehouse? And most of them, when I talked about recently, I was talking to someone. They said, okay, we have only one warehouse. Then I asked them that, okay, do you sell in Amazon? They said yes. Then that means you have another warehouse, right? Meaning, even though you are not physically managing it, you need to still manage the minimum inventory, the MOQs, and you have the algorithms won't pick up and suggest your product if you don't have the inventory there. For example, if you stock out, so suddenly a company which has one inventory now virtually added another warehouse? Is that kind of how the inventory management leaders are looking at? Like suddenly now you have to balance the inventory and all that. So do you see that way?
Yeah, exactly. So if you have your products in Amazon or even Walmart's fulfillment
Yeah,
services, you can get benefits by having your products at their specific warehouses, but it's all about a balance between how much you put into the Amazon
yeah.
warehouse, how much you put into Walmart, how much you keep in your own warehouse. All of that matters to a much bigger degree if you have too much inventory on the Amazon side and you can't fulfill your own website orders or you're not using their multi-channel fulfillment. All of those matter because you can stock out more easily, especially if you have a large number of SKUs or a large number of variants. And getting that exact number and that demand forecasting of exactly how much to put in the Amazon warehouse, how much to put in Walmart can be the difference of millions of dollars.
So is that a challenge right now that because companies are increasingly moving to the e-commerce and especially smaller companies, the your customer segment perspective, when they are getting started, one channel, now they're adding another e-commerce channel. Is that a challenge? Like you think certain companies, they're getting into $10 million, they are seeing the challenge or it's a day one challenge? When do they see this inventory management as something they need to manage? What stage?
Yeah, I think a lot of people try to get away with using spreadsheets
Hmm.
for the most part for when they first start or using QuickBooks or ShipStation as their mess. When we start to see them expanding into more than one channel or expanding into more than one warehouse, we start to really see the need for inventory management.
Okay.
And at that transition point is when the difference between having the right amount of inventory starts to get into the tens of thousands and then into the hundreds of thousands. And as you scale, that little problem just becomes so much bigger. So if you're selling out of your house, you can do cycle counts daily and count
Yeah.
your amount of inventory, right? Or you can just eyeball it and you're fine. But as soon as you start having a wide breadth of SKUs, as soon as you start selling across multiple channels, you need the inventory management to be able to give you that data to make smart business decisions. Because with lead times, with different vendors, with different back ordering, all of these different aspects start to compound the larger you get and the more you start to sell.
So qualitatively, I understand, they're expanding tight. But from a quantitative perspective, are there any KPIs that, well, you know what, if I have more stock outs or if I have like more than $5 million inventory, like at what point in time that they need to come out of Excel and consider something like the WMS?
In my opinion, the sooner that you can get that data, the sooner you
Mm.
can be making smart decisions. So if you can leverage even the smaller inventory softwares out there, having that data alone is vital. So yes, you can do it from Excel, you can do it from QuickBooks, but you are still missing out even day one on what you're selling through, what you're actually needing to purchase and buy, how you're able to manage your balance, your inventory, and your cash flow. I think all of that is so important. And the more data you can get around it, the more competitive advantage you have from day one. So while we typically see people once they hit a pain point of, hey, we're stocking out more than 10% or and it's more of a feeling, honestly. It's less of a KPI, but people start to feel like they don't have clear understanding of their inventory or they start to sell things that they don't have and it starts to become an issue or Amazon penalizes them because they have stockouts and
Yeah.
can't fulfill. So it's these triggers in the market that unfortunately people wait until they hit them before they're willing to upgrade into WMS, like a real software like Fishbowl or any of the other ones out there. The more data that you can have earlier on, the better competitive advantage you're going to have.
So it's beyond the top line, bottom line. It's really also the customer sentiment, and it's also the way the algorithms work, right? If you have a product which is frequently stocking out, the algorithm may not recommend that product, right? Like so, the customer sentiment and feedback, yeah, valid.
Exactly. If you go to someone's site and
Mm.
they never have the color that you like or they
Uh,
never have the product that you like, you start to find other alternatives. You
Other
start to
alternates,
realize
yeah.
this company isn't for me. Like don't have the stuff that I need. And if that's
Mm,
the perception you want to give customers, which obviously is terrible, like especially as a new brand, you want to have the right amount of inventory at any given time because your cash flow is tight. Your
mhm.
sales, you're putting money into advertising. If you spend money on Google ads, Amazon ads, and it's hitting things that aren't in stock or don't have their size, you're burning money. And that's the one thing that you can't have as a starting business.
So now let's fast forward. Company now have the WMS and they're capturing a lot of data about their sales, purchase, inventory, and all that. So now, they got the data now. So now we are all hearing about AI, right? And analytics and AI. So what do you hear from the team? How are they leveraging the analytics and AI? At what point they are realizing the need for more, let's call reporting or analytics, and then the demand forecasting and the larger AI. What do you see the path for it in your customer segment or in this industry?
One fascinating thing that I've noticed is the amount of speed that expectations increase at the rate that AI
Mm,
increases. So because it feels like this magical source that has all the answers, the
mm,
expectation for it to have those answers and for your product to have AI built in capabilities is very high. So the customers that I talk to that are thinking about AI, they're expecting specific results from the AI. And so one customer that I've talked to recently, they are immediately looking into how can we make all of our purchasing decisions made by an AI and prove that it's successful. That's the one scary part in some people's minds is giving over that control, giving over the gut feelings of, well, I feel like we need more mediums of the shirt. Based on last year, I remember us selling a lot of larges, so I'm going to buy more larges. Those
mm.
little instinctual things are hard to give up for us humans. But the more that you give that data over to the AI, the better results it has, especially one like Conversite that has a large breadth of industry knowledge in WMS across multiple verticals, being able to have that historical knowledge and that robust AI that's specific around demand planning and forecasting is what you're looking for. So you really need to pick the right AI for the right job rather than just a general AI. So you'll have ChatGPT or Claude, any of these various LLM models that you can ask questions, you can ask industry insights and things like that, but there's no guarantee that it's specific to your industry or specific
Yeah.
to your specific scenario unless you give it enough context for it to understand. And that's
The
what
accuracy matters as well. Yeah.
exactly. So the more people give into it, the more it gives out and the better the process is going to be for you. But coming up with an AI model in products today, it's necessary for it to be highly accurate because the thing that's going to make that company successful is accuracy. And if the AI model is hyper accurate, which it tends to be much more accurate than humans, you start to see those advantages even year one.
You are spot on. The speed in which this is evolving is mind blowing, right? When we started Conversite, the name suggests conversational insights. We came from, you know, report building, like people were creating reports manually, thousands of hours wasted and all those. What we thought was, let's give this AI 8 years back that let them just ask a question and get a report. And we thought, honestly, that that will be like mind blowing, like everybody would love it. Yes, they did. And initial year, we had to explain to them that why. And some people say, oh, I have Mike who will create my report. Why do I need this? We go say, no, Mike work, say 9 to 5. This Athena, when you hire, Athena's work for 24/7. You can just ask question. We had to explain initially, like 7 years back, and today, I was with a customer discussion on Thursday. They were asking about the demand forecasting. What's this demand forecasting? Is it generated by an LLM or it's machine learning? I said that it's a mix, but it's a lot of machine learning. He was challenging me, that the CTO was challenging me that why you need to do machine learning? That let it be the LLM. And then I had to explain that how do you handle the one-off spikes, for example? How do you handle the replacement items? So you have to teach a lot of things to this. The next month, you don't want to come and teach that AI again, right? So you need that. So one is reliability. The second is that automation. The third is speed, right? Every month, if I need to run the forecast with all the thing for 20,000 products, we also need to think about cost, right? Like so, I had to explain that. Like 5 years back, we were explaining why they need AI. Now we have to put some barrier, like why you should not overthink about taking advantage of AI. Like so, you're right that they are thinking way ahead, and thanks to that experience what ChatGPT and all those created, the expectation is really skyrocketing, and the business leaders want the AI to do more things than what we could all offer today or confidently offer today, right? So it's
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, the that expectation is super high, and a lot of people are dismissing tried and true methods that
Yeah.
still have value. And really, in AI, all it is a tool, and that's why we're learning more about agentic models, which is kind of the new conversation that's up, and that's just basically being able to have your LLM use tools. And what the tool of the machine learning is just something that the LLM can use to get accurate data and have more contextual view of VMS, because ChatGPT is a very general knowledge base. It has a limited number of things that are taught to it. And so it expands and looks out for other things. But if it can have, it's like having a subject matter expert on hand is your
Yeah.
machine learning. And then the LLM is the manager of that. So and then your agent is one that can use the LLM, it can use the machine learning. And in our product, what we're building in at Fishbowl is the ability for it to do the maintenance tasks for you as well, based on that knowledge. So creating a purchase order, creating a manufacturing order, any of these tasks that are done are all part of the agentic model. And so our agent will be able to do that work for you, but also be able to tie into that machine learning piece from Conversite and that LLM model for the conversational aspect of it to streamline your entire business and be able to do what took you a week before in the matter of minutes.
Oh, absolutely. See, when recently I had a webinar where I was talking about, how we call the agentic AI. One of the use case was supply assurance agent, right? So where we have Athena based on your open purchase orders, and that may be a purchase order you need to prioritize, may need to bring it to an airship, like maybe you're going to stock out. The AI can make a phone call and negotiate with the supplier and prioritize the purchase order, for example, delivery. Or, that time you may have a financial decision to make. There may be a $50 or $100 payment for freight charge you may approve. So I was demoing and showing it. Um, the perspective was very, very different, right? So I initially thought this basically needed, like for a very large company where they have hundreds of buyers and hundreds of phone calls they are making, the agentic AI will be handy to help. But there was a company they joined and they were like only $10 million inventory. They said, Ganesh, they actually was mentioning that it's super cool for even for smaller companies because they don't have the bandwidth. It's not like AI will reduce the headcount. Rather, here they want to open up. For example, this company they're selling all the pharma distribution product to South American countries. This company need to have two or three people who are talking in the different language and work in a different time zone. The cost of that is way too much than the thin margin what they have. They thought if they have one or two buyers and then they have this agent to negotiate and communicate, especially in the off hours and in a different language, it will be a huge value for the company. So suddenly now the company can operate like a 100-member team. It's amazing that how this agentic AI is opening up. But as you said, foundation is key, that they need to have their data from an Excel to a WMS like Fishbowl inventory. And once they have it, so they got the demand, supply, inventory is available, then they bring some AI insights like what we are offering along with Fishbowl AI insights. So then they can start moving into the agentic AI. This is amazing that where it is going. You and me are in the same boat that we need to think ahead and We need to think about what they're going to ask next year and build it now. So it's not an easy task. So what are your source of learning for agentic AI and AI? So what do you recommend? What do you follow? What do you listen in to keep up with your AI knowledge?
Yeah, it's great. So I follow obviously all of the creators of AI, what they're
Yeah.
building. So Anthropic and OpenAI, they're obviously thought leaders in the space. I follow a lot of podcasts around AI that, have speculations on where it's going. In my mind, if you look at the end state of where AI is headed, everything's condensing.
Yeah.
Everything that you did have is just combining together. So you used to have a data scientist that would do your demand planning. You would have your manager that would oversee them. And now those are combining into an LLM model that uses these tools like Conversite. And the industry is just going to keep combining and combining until we're at a point where we're just conversing with a general AI that's part of our lives. And that can go look at your inventory for you, or it can also order your groceries for you. And it uses those different models that are built out. It uses Conversite to grab that data. It uses Walmart to buy your groceries. And eventually you'll have just a single chat interface or a vocal assistant or whatever you have
Yeah.
to manage all of those things. And then if you think of because the beauty of WMS software is it's mapping physical processes to give you that accurate data. That's the main purpose behind it. So as someone's picking, packing, shipping, as someone's removing inventory or bringing it in, that's what's being recorded into the WMS. The way I picture it going is right now, if you've ever used one of those Amazon shopping grocery things where you just walk in and take stuff out and it bills you
Hmm.
for it, that's the inevitability once software or once hardware becomes cheap enough to be installed in some of these smaller companies. The ability for that input, that sensor, that camera to observe what's happening in your warehouse and real time make those decisions or even flag errors like, oh,
Yep.
this warehouse worker picked the wrong thing, or this is going to the wrong customer. Those things can start to be observed and then fed back into the LLM where it can notify you of any issues, or you can even say, hey, how's my warehouse doing today? And it can give you a full report of everything that's happening in there, all from a single line interface.
Yeah, absolutely. The way the AI analytics combination can give the power and the decision intelligence is amazing, right? So similar one, we are working with a retailer, for example. They have e-commerce and then support team. And when someone is trying to place an order, real time, we know who the customer is, and it can run, what else they may order, for example, right? Affinity, product affinity. The another very interesting thing, this particular customer we were doing was like, for example, if we miss the delivery in the last order, for example, by a day or 2 days, this AI is able to figure out that, hey, we acknowledge that we missed your delivery date by 2 days last time to to acknowledge that here is your 20% discount offer. The customers were wow, like they were not expecting that. That one, you are profiling them, their customer experience, and you want to sell now, and you are giving that, right? So obviously now they got that. If they were going to place 20, $100, now they got a 20% coupon, and they're going to buy you $120 worth in their mind. So what AI and analytics can do in that real time instance of the customer's decision making, what to buy, unbelievable, right? So that brings up to the next segment of our conversation is on our partnership, right? So while we've been working together in the last 18 months or so, partnering as branding as Fishbowl AI Insights, the analytics and the supply chain planning in a box for you. So I wanted to hear like what is Fishbowl AI Insights in your mind, and what is your customers thinking about Fishbowl AI Insights? What opportunities it's opening?
Yeah, absolutely. AI Insights is our white labeled version of Conversite, obviously, that we've embedded in our product. So with it comes powerful reporting just off the bat, the ability to customize, to schedule, to build whatever reports that you want and whatever visualizations you want, whether it's in a dashboard or in a report that's sent out weekly. These are some of the foundational things of Conversite that are super valuable to our customers. And then beyond that is the level of AI reporting that comes into it. So Athena makes it really easy where you can just ask for any report that you want to see, which is how people think. They're not thinking in terms of tables and in terms of exactly what rows or columns and configurations that they need. They're thinking in terms of outcome and what I want to know and why I want to know it. Athena provides that very well, where you can just ask very specifically what you're looking for and it will provide. Then on top of that, the machine learning aspect of the forecasting and demand planning and being able to pull that is leaps and bounds ahead of what we've found in other products, and our customers are seeing the value right away. We're already notating significant percentages of savings in over purchasing, in buying things that aren't selling very well, using ABC analyses, any of these really complex calculations that normally take years to build up. The AI can find these intricate patterns in the data and find these nuances that even us humans would have a hard time figuring out without, especially as a business owner, without a stats background,
Yeah.
masters in statistics. You get that out of the box with Conversite. And that's where the true value is our customers are leaning into it and using it to make the hard decisions and to pull together the right data for them to know how much to purchase or when to purchase, which vendors to use. These are all the types of decisions that they're making on a daily, weekly basis.
Perfect. As I mentioned, I came from a world where we used to have like, army of people, data engineers, data scientists, and then report creators just to make some supply chain analytics. And then, some PhD, folks, they do the statistics on the demand forecasting and all those from a data mining perspective. What a change in the last 10 years, right? Like we have now these softwares, like you don't need a data scientist, but you can do a demand forecasting and supply planning. Wow. I am equally excited on our partnership and how we are empowering some of our customers. So now I always ask this future one question about the next 5 years. And now I can't even say next 5 years for AI. What do you think in the next 12 months to 18 months, where this AI and specifically in the supply chain and inventory management, where do you think this AI is going to power and what business leaders can expect from the AI?
Yeah, I think first thing is decision making. Those hardcore business analytics, those researchings, all of those are going to pull together and give. If you're not using it, you're going to fall behind. That's step one. Step two, in the next 12 months, I do believe we're going to start to see more and more agentic solutions, more things that are taking out the manual aspect.
Okay.
No more data entry, no more manually editing things. You'll be able to prompt AIs to do all of that for you. So we're already seeing the starts of that and agentic solutions coming into the market, and the expectation is rising with it with people. And so they're getting very familiar with it. It's becoming second nature to use ChatGPT, to use these LLM models. And so we're going to start to see that become more and more prevalent, especially as it moves into our devices and we see more of those agentic solutions hit our phones and our laptops, being able to talk to our phone to be able to edit product descriptions on the fly. Like those types of things I think are coming in the next 12 months.
But what do you think will stop them? Like when I was talking to some customers, prospects, they were like, "Oh, we are not ready for it. Our data is not clean," and all those. Do you think data quality or not having enough people? What do you think an organization which is moving forward with everything what you mentioned, organization lagging behind? Is it their vision or their data quality or the people? What do you think will stop them moving forward?
I think it's a lack of education, to be
Okay.
honest. And what does my data is not clean mean? Really, it means I don't think the LLM is going to understand how I've been keeping this over the past 6 years or can't detect that there's errors in it. And I think we need to move beyond that because it's there. It just
Yeah.
depends on how you're prompting it. What details are you giving it so that it can understand how to clean up your data. You can even tell it to clean up your data. And if you give it enough parameters in that
Yeah.
prompt, it's going to do it for you. So anytime someone brings to me an issue or a reason why they can't use AI, it's pretty easy to go a few steps back and figure out the root of the problem
Yeah.
and focus on that with the AI, and you'll be able to solve your other problems as well. So to me, it's just a lack of understanding and almost a lack of creativity in how AI can benefit you.
Yeah. If there is a will, then there is a way, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. With that, thank you, Kyle, for joining and doing this great session. I know we are, looking 18 months forward, but then every month we are learning something new. I'm sure in the next 6 months we are going to learn something new, and you're enriching the customer experience from product side, and we are bringing the AI equally. And maybe I like to have you back in 6 months and share where the industry, and in fact,
Yeah.
let's do a rollback, like what you thought today is a 6 months. Like, are we thinking enough?
Yeah. That would be great.
Love to do that. Thank you for coming over to this show. I'm sure you enjoyed, and I'm sure our audience enjoy as well. So looking forward to host another episode. Thank you all for watching this Data Insights podcast from Conversite. See you. Bye bye. Take care.